Boom, we're here. So welcome everyone. Thank you for, doing the deal, being here with us. A little housekeeping. If you're listening, rate, share, subscribe. We want to connect with you. If you're listening as well, go to Big Mood TV. You can watch the podcast. We want to, we're sharing human experiences here. So we want to connect with you. But today we have something very special going on. We have someone with a remarkable resume. Music exec with RocNation, DefJam, CEO of Diverse Media Group, author of the up-and-coming book, Impact, Leadership Amongst Almost Losing It All. Benny Pough or Pough? Because I've heard three people say it differently today.
Yeah, Pough.
Benny
Just like
Pough.
in the church, man.
There you go.
I took the name they gave me.
They gave us, right?
But you know what it is? But what happens though, right, Eric, is it becomes a great icebreaker, right? In
For sure.
difficult circumstances. But anyway.
For sure. So as we spoke prior, I've been listening to interviews all morning. And my genuine curiosity is, where are you from? What, I know you started working at 11, but what makes a man who becomes as successful as you? So I really want to create space for you, hold space for you to go off, because I want people to know really the foundational principles of who you are and what makes a monster of a businessman and this immense success. So I'm gonna just let you go off. Where are you from? First, that's the first question. Where are you from?
White Plains, New York. I'm an East Coaster.
Me too, man. From Queens.
Yeah. From where?
I'm from Queens.
Okay, I went to St. John's.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And I lived on 188th and McLaughlin Avenue out there in an apartment with a Nigerian guy, which was kind of crazy as a roommate because back then St. John's didn't have dorms. So the only place for commuters or for students were to live in the community, which a lot of the houses were set up for that. And it was so crazy. When we got there, he had literally just came over and I'd never lived, with anyone. I mean, I had my own room after like 11, me and my sister didn't stay in the same room anymore. Right.
Yeah.
And, but I never had a roommate. Right. And it was interesting because he started cooking like African food. And as just a Southern Black, dude, whose family's roots is from Orangeburg, South Carolina, it was unique. And in that semester I stayed there, man, it was an amazing and enlightening experience, which probably was my first real introduction to wanting to pursue getting to the motherland, right? Which ideally I got there a couple years ago, but what it tapped me into is what the void was of not being connected to a continent, right? As a man, because he walked differently, he talked differently, right? He stood differently, right? His mind was different because he had a homeland, and it was a great experience. Just that semester living there.
So prior to going to St. John's, what did your parents do? What was your foundational upbringing like? Do you have both parents? Like what was the foundation like?
So grew up in White Plains, very cool neighborhood, right? Working class neighborhood. My mother, she worked for the post office, United States Post Office, which at that time was maybe 3-mile walk from the house. So she would spend most days walking to and from work as opposed to driving. My father, he was a truck driver at first, and then he decided, like, I just can't work for anybody, right? He didn't call it being an entrepreneur. He called it, I can't work for anybody, right? And the thing was really great about him was he saw the ability of what he had to create his own destiny. He was, in those times looking and reflecting back, he was like the Black MacGyver, Like my pops could, like right now, he could probably take this iPhone apart and rebuild it, right? And never had seen it fix it. I'll fix it. Bring it over here kind of guy, right? And that's what he did. So he would fix cars. He would do plumbing for people. He would do electrical. Like he was a master in pretty much everything he did and everything he touched. So we lived in a 5-family house, right? And on the 5th floor, and the winters were really cold and the summers were really hot, right? Because of the insulation. Like anybody who, live on the top floor, that's this extreme environment, right? It really is extreme.
Yeah.
And so when the landlord had was selling the house, and my father, who did all of the maintenance work around the grounds and fixing the house and saved her a lot of money over the years, gave them an opportunity to purchase the house. So she held the paper, which, in terms is she held the mortgage. And that's a great means for people, people starting out. Because there's a lot of things that happen. You don't have to go through the stringency of the bank, right? With the interest rates, right? People can give you favorable rates or no rates, right? If you got bad credit, you're not at the mercy of all of those things, right? And that was probably the first eye-opening thing for me to see was how my father had that freedom. Right, because the house now, we moved from the 5th floor to the 1st floor. We made it, right? And my pops was able to be there, in and out with my sister and I on making sure that we got to school. We had a hot breakfast, and the house paid for everything else for us, right? My mother, she had the benefits and and income. Stable income, and my father was able to be free, and that's where that spark went off of me. Is like, I want to be like my dad in the respect, right? Not just to be like my dad, but I want to be free, right? And the only way to be free was economic empowerment, right? And obviously at a young age, you don't know that 1 + 1 = 2, but as you grow and you learn and you see, that's exactly what you're chasing. And that was the early lesson for me on wanting to be in business, right? And in corporate, how to make this whole thing work. And that was a driving factor.
So what was besides business and ownership on a personal level, what was the most valuable lesson your father taught you? So many of us, I grew up with a two-parent household, and my parents would always say, and I can hear them say it today, never give up. I could hear them say that, forever. My father would say, take care of yourself. And little things that I'll hear until the day I die. What are those? What was one of the most important lessons besides the business acumen that you learned from your father?
So my mom and my dad, if I had to put it all, like put it in a bottle and in a conversation, it was one thing, like your word was your bond.
That's right.
Honesty was important. And like, it took me until I got older, like, cause we say it like in our community a lot, your word is your bond, your word is your bond, right? It's, it just flows. But when you break it down for the meaning of your word is your bond, it means everything. People will, right, want to be with you. People will want to do business with you. People will want to give you opportunities, right? People will want you around if they know you stand for what you say. Absolutely. And that was more important to my parents than anything else, right? Is that you were always honest and that you was always direct, right? And you was always giving your best. And that's a key fundamental and ingredients to help in everything that I did, right? Was being truthful, forthright, and upfront. And as I grew in business, people wanted to be with me because they knew they could get the truth, right? And that probably moved me forward more than being in the right opportunity. It's like everybody seeks the truth. People want to know, right, that what they're doing, they're moving in the right direction or the wrong direction. Someone they can lean on, someone they can talk to, right? Someone that they can get valuable information that's going to be honest, earnest, and from a good place.
Absolutely.
Truth.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's beautiful. So, with such an illustrious career in hip hop, but working with everybody,
Mhm.
everyone's heard the list.
Not quite everybody, man.
Well,
Still a
working
lot.
with Jay, Kanye,
Yeah.
DJ Khaled, Rihanna, that's everybody.
Right,
You
right,
know what I
right,
mean?
right,
But
right.
with working with all those people, what influence did '80s hip hop culture, New York City hip hop culture, play into your love for the music industry? Because you got to, being in New York, we have a very special relationship. I always tell people, this is our native music. Hip hop is for a New York City person, it's our native, it's like our Native American flute. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
what influence did that have on you and inspire you, taking you forward in the music industry?
Wow. So realize definitely being a part of the 80s generation, right? Music was different, right? It was definitely an intense storytelling era, right? Of the conditions that we were going to, the values, like, the outrage. It was a lot of information that was passed through the music, right? I think back then, and even maybe now, so right, everybody had a role, right, in the neighborhood, like in the music aspect. Either you was the rapper, you was the DJ, right, or you were the
Yeah,
talent, right? You
yeah,
started one way or the other. Like, I was the DJ and I was whack, right? So ultimately I figured I couldn't, you couldn't scratch, you was done. Like, if you couldn't catch it, you couldn't do it,
yeah,
right? Definitely wasn't a rapper. And ultimately, how I found myself into entertainment was through comedy.
absolutely.
So I was a comic while I was in college, right? It was one of the many jobs that I held. I also did security.
Let's
For
talk. Let's talk about comedy real quick. Who are your
uh,
comedic? I'm a comedy fiend. That's what I.
really,
That's what I love to consume all day, every day. Comedy podcasts, all that. But who are your greatest comedic influences? Because obviously Eddie Murphy was a young person at that time. But who was so prior? Who were your influences as a
it was
comedian?
it was. I mean, it was Richard, and then it was Eddie,
Yeah.
right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's before. Then Bernie came,
Hmm.
right? Right, and then all of those guys from that era started rolling. But when I came up, it was all Richard Pryor. I mean, like, that's what everybody did. Like, you had a root of Richard, right? Like,
Yeah.
Richard was the baseline, even if that wasn't going to be your stick along the way. But you were definitely a student. He was the
He
greatest,
was the
man. Like,
greatest.
the modern greatest. I mean, Eddie became Richard. Like, let's be
Definitely.
real. Like, right?
Absolutely.
So everybody studied Richard. But while in college, it was important for me. I was at a set, and was as an extra, and I was sitting with this guy, and he and I were talking, and I just started popping with him, right? Just talking, and blah, blah, blah. He started laughing. He said, "Man, you funny as," right? And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Why don't you do comedy?" And I was like, "All right, because this extra thing ain't really working." Like, it's
Sure.
whack being
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
extra, bro. Like, you're gonna be discovered being an extra. God bless you. That is like,
You earned it.
that's like, that ain't even talent.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's just showing
Standing in the
up,
background.
right?
Yeah,
That's not even like, you might be as talented as you want to be, but being an extra, think of the word.
yeah.
You just an add-on,
Yeah.
right? Nobody want to call it
No
add-on.
craft tables for you.
Yeah, you just extra. You just there for the food, to be honest
There
with
you
you,
go.
right? As an extra. So I'm like, this ain't my thing. So I left that night, which was crazy, because people along the way had told me, "Hey, man, you funny. You don't take that serious." But I guess that environment registered in my mind, and I started writing. And we performed. There was a couple clubs in the metropolitan area, then Terminal D's, which was in Jersey, and a bunch of us started the Uptown Comedy Club,
Whoa.
right? So there was Dougie Doug.
Yeah.
We went to Cool Running. You remember Dougie?
Yeah.
Cool Running, right? He went to St. John's with me. Bill Bellamy's a great friend of mine. I remember the first day JB Smoove walked in. All of these guys came out of the Uptown Comedy Club, which was, one of the, the cornerstones for culture in Harlem. And I was booked for a show at the Cellar, which was located on 96 in Amsterdam.
Yep. I go every time I'm home.
Yeah. And she, the lady who worked at Motown Records booked me for a show. And at the end, when it was time to get paid, she asked me, "What are you doing?" And I hadn't even prepared my resume. I was graduating. And I said nothing. And she said, "Hey, listen, why don't you come out and be my intern?"
Wow.
And I was like, yes. I didn't know what an intern was, man. Right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody ever told us what, like, nobody knew. Like, but it's like, okay, cool. You at Motown, you want me to intern? Yeah, I'll do that. And that's how I got into the record business.
Do you think that was, you know, I've heard people speak about, you know, some people say it's hard work. I mean, Kevin Hart grinded out the hardest working man in comedy, The Rock, hard work, you know, but do you think that do you find that as a divine situation or a luck situation? Because obviously that question, do you want to be my intern, has transformed your life, your children's lives, musicians' lives, and millions of lives through the being a conduit as you were.
So I'm a believer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Christian.
We can talk about. I love talking about God. So we can talk about it.
So I'm a believer, and I believe God will put for you what He has for you, right? And just in layman's, you know, be prepared for the opportunity. You know, at the end of the day, it's about being prepared, right? Once I got to Motown Records and realized what the opportunity was, I was prepared for it. So when I first came in, I was an assistant, an intern, but she had me processing her traveling expenses. Nobody ever taught us what T&E, I don't know, but you know what? I typed 60 words a minute, right? I'm very organized, right? I was almost military-esque because of, you know, my mom and my dad on how always got to be prepared. So I remember one day I was reconciling her expenses, and I was kind of sheepish because when the check came, I had to attach, you know, make sure everything was straight. And I thought it was her paycheck because it was thousands of dollars. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know if I really feel comfortable knowing what you made, right? Yeah. And doing it. She's like, no, baby, that's my expenses. And I was like, explain it to me. So she's like, no, the company, they pay for my travel, they pay for my food, they pay for my cable, they pay for my car note, they pay for my gas, and they pay for the insurance, and they pay for my cell. I was like, oh, that's what I want to do.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. And that was the point of where I realized that I wanted to be in the business of music, right? But I fell in love with music the first time I ever put an artist's record on the radio. And saw that the value of changing someone's life from going from nothing to something, right? Sure. Because then radio, and even now, is a very big medium in driving success, right? And popularity in the music business. So when, you know, the business and the passion met, it was off to races.
Who was the first artist or group that you got onto the radio? You
know, it's really crazy though, right? Like I worked Boys II Men. I took them on their first college show, man. Wow. Like, but I think it was Shanice Wilson. I Love Your Smile was the first record that I really got played. But I mean, there's a host of artists along the way that really got excited.
So tell people the trajectory. So it went Motown, and you've worked your way up. So where'd you go after Motown?
So after Motown, I went to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's label called Perspective Records, right? And it was, it was a great opportunity coming out of Motown, which I realized how valuable that training was, being in an African-American company, beautiful, right? Getting the disciplines and getting straight commitment from the staff. Once they saw something in me, they took me in, you know, the village really did raise me. I can't say I'm here because of I'm so great, right?
Yeah,
like people committed to my success along the way, right? Like they gave me an opportunity in Motown that I might not have gotten anywhere else. Like I was a graduate in an internship program that they were paying me $25 a week, right? So just to sustain my life was difficult enough. That's why I had the 4 jobs, and a total of 4 jobs. But they were very amenable in pouring themselves and pouring, all of the valuable information in the music business into me. So Motown was an incredible springboard for me moving in the business, because as you go through, I was already prepared, right? Because it was business, but family, right? Sure. So that was really, really important. And then working with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and their label was phenomenal, right? Once again, with they were like one of the biggest producers in the world, and having the opportunity, to be a part of that was astounding. Left there, went to Arista, which was Arista Records, which was the Rolls Royce of record companies at that point, and was a part of. That's when the Bad Boy stuff started breaking. That's when the LaFace LaFace stuff started breaking. Whitney Houston and Tony Braxton and all of that. Usher and TLC and all of those artists were there. And I worked in DC in a regional capacity. Right, I was a local regional guy, and part of my growth was getting the opportunity to get outside of New York and see a different perspective. When I went to Washington, D.C., it was the first time that I actually saw a progressive Black neighborhood, right? Huge. Which was, if you've never been there, you don't know, right? And it's so many different things going back once again on the connection of my roommate in college coming from Nigeria, as well as the people, African Americans that lived in DC. They were different, right? Because you see different, you grow different, you be different, right? And that's exactly what I noticed in that. I was like, wow, right? Like I've never seen anything about that, and that gives you a different kind of stride. And while I was there working, had a lot of success there that some people sought after me at MCA Records. So I left DC and moved to New York for about a year and got a promotion and went west for 7 years. Wow. Right, and worked some artists like Shaggy was part of that. It Wasn't Me, Casey and JoJo all my life, Jesse Powell, You, the Love Song,
you
right?
In the era.
Mary J. Blige, 4 albums after the 411, Shantae's Got a Man, right? Gave the Roots their first and only #1 record with You Got Me. Wow. And Common as well with his only #1 record is well. So after that, left there in 2003 and went to DefJam and realized like
what was your experience at the legendary DefJam? This is like, for me, as a growing up as a connoisseur of hip hop, and I feel like that's the holy grail of hip hop, So what was it like, get into the detail? What was it like being part of such a powerhouse? It's monumental. Besides, it almost transcends just the music that's been put out. What was it like being in the culture? What was the environment like? What was the culture like?
So, you know what? Part of the reason why I took the job there was everything that you said. And they were a closed shop. Like they were kind of like Motown, very family, and family meaning like you had to be a part of their culture, which I think that word is really overused now, but they were culture. Right? Like meaning you had to fit the DefJam mold to be a part of that company, right? The drive, the passion, vision, right? You were indoctrinated, right? In DefJam in order to be a part of that. So when the opportunity came for me, I never thought that I would be there as long as I was, because I was on the West Coast and I was ready to come home. And, that was one of the few places that was on my hit list, right? That most people just never get an opportunity to work at, right?
Definitely.
And so when they called, I was like, yeah, I'll come. And when I got there, you have to realize DefJam was on a rebuild. So they weren't all of what they
used to
we
be.
knew them
Yeah,
for, right?
yeah.
Like, and it's no different than any other company, right? They go through peaks and valleys, right? So they were in the valley. And when I got there in 2003, L.A. Reid walks in 2004, and he just signs, and man, it's a different world, right? That's Rihanna's there comes, Neo, Jeezy, Rick Ross, Fabulous, right? Justin Bieber, right? Mariah, Emancipation of Mimi, and being a part of the marketing and promotions team, which we were bar none one of the best in the business, was a learning experience, right? On seeing how a company that's floundering, how the right CEO can come in and make a difference, right? Like, this is a company that went in 9 years from a 2.3 market share to 11 market share, right? And being number one label in the business, right? And that's talent, that's people, right? That's artistry, right? And that's a combination of learning how to work together, learning how to manage, and learning how to focus. So that was an incredible stint for me.
So where did you go after that? And did you go RocNation after that? Where was the next
Epic.
step? And you went to
Epic Records.
Okay.
Epic Records.
And then from Epic, that was RocNation?
Yeah. So when I left DefJam, at the top, like when we were fuego hot, right? And that might have been my 5th company at that point.
Yeah.
Right. Went to Epic, and it was amazing because, I was an executive running a department all the way, through my career. And I was given an opportunity, right? Which very few of us get the opportunity to be in upper management, right? And upper management is just not a placeholder, like being a part of the decision-making process, right? Being in the soups and nuts of, how the economics, the planning, the strategy, right? How the company is going to sustain and move forward. So that's what Epic was. It was a true training ground for the business of music. And I got an opportunity to sign some talent, right?
Yeah.
One of the first artists I ever signed was out of Georgia, called Field Mob, right? And
of course. Yeah,
I signed them.
It
was, it gave me a different skill set in the business. I realized not only could I get your record played, but I could pick the record as well, and create that star quality in someone special. So when I was at Epic, brought Future to the label, Yo Gotti to the label, Cash Out to the label, that I was given an opportunity, based on, my specific taste, like, okay, we'll invest in these acts.
Definitely.
So it was very profound for me, right? And so now, between being able to get records played, looking into the back office, right? Because now I see how it goes, and pick talent. It was, that was grad school for real. And then, the opportunity came in RocNation, and went there and had an opportunity as well to be a part of developing their music side of their company.
Beautiful.
And for me, it's always been about, the season of learning, right? Every company that I've been at, I've always left at the top of my game, because it's more about me learning something new and mastering something new than just staying and being, just another number. I realized, with my mom, she was at the post office for 35 years, and then she has Alzheimer's. She got dementia when she was about, when she was about to retire. And you know, it says a lot, right, on how you view life, right? Why you don't want to be just settled, right? And it doesn't mean it's wrong. I mean, no one's going to give you an opportunity to be anywhere 35 years. So that era's over, right? Like, so we have, I mean, the example is cool, but no one's giving you that. That's over, right?
Yeah.
But it also shows that, you know, there's just, for me, whenever the end comes, is that I've given myself every opportunity and every chance, right, to live this one life we have.
For sure.
And that's what, you know, my book that's coming out on Impact is really all about. It's about, you know, second chances, right, and how you live with the second chance, right? Hit a tree at 90 miles an hour and should have been dead. But, you know, given the second chance or the opportunity to live this life, right, I take advantage of every day.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm a proponent of second chances. I've been sober 7 years. I lived a rough life in New York City before I moved out to California. So I understand, and not many people get to understand. Sometimes, hopefully, they don't have to. But it sounds like that accident provided you perspective, and that's a powerful thing.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's both literal and figurative. Like, I think about the moment at times, and I roll back, you know, the 30 days on before the accident, and realize we dropped my son off at boarding school. I celebrated. That was the week prior to the accident. 2 days before, saw my sister. I only have one sibling, her family, and I celebrated my father's 70th birthday, and had some real quality time with my mom, on where, you know, the disease wasn't as advanced as it is. So, you know, any time spending with her and getting reaction is you know, it's just so warm and loving. And then I flew home that day, right? And it was late, and it's kind of like you asked earlier about destiny, right? So the flight was delayed from Charlotte to New York, and I was running late because I had a meeting once I landed, because it was raining, and decided, man, like, maybe I shouldn't go. Went anyway, and we got to the house, and it was 4 adults, 3 bottles of wine, and, you know, it was a heavy moment. So me and my friend, we decided to go onto his deck, and we had a conversation. And he had been going through some things. I was going through some things, and we were, you know, that misty rain kind of happened again. So it was like, you know, let's take a ride. He just bought a new 550 Benz. So we walk into the carport, get in the car, backs out, runs it back in, gets a cigar. He pulls out the ladies and the kids. They walk out. I don't know why black folks do it. Like, everybody stand outside when people drive the car, right? I don't know why we do that, but we do, right? It's universal. But we drive down the driveway, makes a right turn, and instantly, you know, life changed at that moment. And you know, the car was without a driver. He was without a driver, and we hit the tree, right? And I was thinking prior to that, right? And I don't think people think about your expiration date, right? And in that moment, it was sometimes when I think about it, right, it takes me back. Right. I don't know. It's something about your energy, right? Because normally when I tell a story, it's, you know, I got it, right? But it's just, sometimes it just makes me thankful about still being here. And, the first thing, back to the discipline and my mom, when I was in the car, the first thing that came to my mind was, as I rolled back, I started speaking to God and said, Lord, I guess I'm not going to see my family anymore, right? Because you're dealing with the mortality issue of it. There's a car going without a driver in excess of 75 miles an hour. Second thing was, Lord, I guess I'm going to see you soon, right? Because at this point, I realized that this is not going to end well. Like, no way. And then the third thing, I got mad with God.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to die, right? And I didn't want to die because I was afraid of death, because we're not taught that, right? I was afraid of dying because I hadn't prepared all the people in my life for my death, right? And my mom's, I take care of her, right? Because she's always taking care of me, and because she can't take care of herself. And my son was, he's just a young man, and he's not going to get, any of what I have to give him anymore, because that won't exist. My two girls, they won't have a father or a man to protect them and be there for them, right? In every aspect of protection, right? Protecting their heart, protecting their mind, protecting their soul, having someone to lean on, right? And I thought about all of that. And that's what I was mad about. God, if I knew that, why didn't you tell me? I wouldn't have came, right?
Yeah.
If I knew I was going to die today, I'm not showing up, right? Yeah. But it doesn't work that way. So when we hit the tree, I suffered a massive concussion, L3, L4 vertebrae fracture, bulging disc in my back, lacerated liver. We hit the tree so hard that the seatbelt cut 2 feet of my small intestines.
Wow.
Internally, right? And I think if I said I bled half the blood out of my body internally. Wow. And I'm here now to be on your show. So I look at the accident is a blessing on that On Impact was birthed, right? Yeah. Because that's what the book is about. It's On Impact, right? And impact is an acronym for intuition, mastery, pivot, authenticity, communication, and teamwork, right? It's a leadership book that's an inspiration, motivational book that takes you through the journey of my life, from delivering papers at 11 years old to right now, pretty much where I am in my life, with an undercurrent of music, right? So the reader takes away in those 6 chapters, things like, guess what? Benny's just like me. And if he could do it, I can do it, right? And how leadership can help you, because now you have a blueprint to help you.
Beautiful. It's that pain and the purpose, and it's the shared human experience, right? It's if I can do it, you can do it, and that's right. That's what this whole podcast is about. So I'm happy we went there. I'm happy
we got it.
We got it. That's
you was about to void me out in a minute, right?
No.
You was about to get it.
No, not at all. No, this is what I wanted. Like I said,
that's what your energy is. Yeah, that's what your energy is. You're gonna get it.
Thanks, man. This has been a beautiful story. So thank you for sharing that with me, all of it, because that's remarkable. Let's talk about what you're doing now. Let's talk Diverse Media Group. Diverse. Okay.
So Diverse is a full-fledged distribution model. So I have artists signed to my label. End of that. Paris Gatlin is my first artist that I signed out of Jackson, Mississippi. Incredible talent. And also I offer distribution services. So artists are able to keep their masters.
Beautiful.
I'll upload their music. Or if they want, packages that will help them through this model, through this journey, I'm here for you as well.
Beautiful. And this all ties into the public speaking. Do you love doing that? It's my favorite thing to do.
You know what? I love the fact that I can give.
For
right?
sure.
And if it's one person, whatever I have to say I can touch, I'm cool,
Yep.
right? And ideally, I want to touch as many people as frequent and as often as I can, because what else am I going to do with the information,
For sure.
right? I mean, when you really think about it, right? There's no reason for people, whether you're in business, religion, family, or whatever your circumstances are, if someone's learned something and they're willing to give you, why make that mistake? Why take that road? Why go that route? Right? When all you have to do is just listen. Right? So once given the information and all that I've learned, I'm willing to share. Yeah. So that's my purpose.
Yeah, that's, giving back was freely given to us. It's that creates that purpose, and it continues that purpose going. You've had such an illustrious life. It's a beautiful opportunity to be able to speak to you. So when does the book come out? When I saw it's summer release, but when exactly does it come out? Are you ready?
I haven't nailed the date, but all the information is on bennypough.com, right?
Beautiful. Yeah, I saw the website. Beautiful website.
Pough. Yeah. Right. So we'll keep everyone, up to date on that. And I'm coming back when it's heavy book time. I'm coming. I'll bring you some of them things when it's time to get the book, right?
For sure, man. I'd love to read it.
Yeah, but the information is definitely available on my website.
That's dope. Well, it was an amazing opportunity to speak to you. If you probably don't manage your own social media, but plug everything. We got the website. Plug everything everywhere.
See, you know what? I don't even know how to take that, right? Yo, but I don't.
I know I don't run mine.
But the assumption, yeah, you funny, man. I love that. I love it. That's right. But we'll get to it.
There you go. All right, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. This is a beautiful opportunity.
Thank you, Eric.
And to just really as a music and hip hop connoisseur, it's just such a deep dive. I appreciate that. So thank you so much, my man.
I'm my brother.
Oh yeah. Thanks.